Hello, welcome to Shadow War. I'm going to show you how to play a medium-sized game with full rules, all the rules. So, all right. So what will happen is you're going to start off with you're going to choose a mission, right? You're going to choose, how to set up the board. So I have on here a little list of how to start the game. Sorry, it didn't load right away. But like, there's determining the mission, reading the mission, deployment zone, set up objectives, set up battlefield, deployment zone, select your team, select once per game powers, roll off, and then select which model units are deployed in which zone. So basically, this mission's already set up for everybody, and this will be in the starter set. So this will be this will be the easiest mission to set up. So what happens is that the bad guys will set up back here, all the way in the back line, line 15, and all the good guys here will line up in the front row, lane 1. And both players pick one space in the back row for their tower. Like, he could be D1, that guy could be D or A15 or whatever, you know what I mean? And then monsters are randomly spawned in. For this game, there are 3 spaces up from each starting zone. So randomly they're drawn in. So for example, we'll have a minor monster offensive, a minor support monster, minor defense monster, and a major offensive monster. So what will happen now is objectives will be on the line right in the middle. It's just like dodgeball. So imagine that you can just walk up to it and just take it, and run back. Let's see here. Then the game is preset for which characters you have in each box set. So what I recommend is that you draw out your icons for each person to make it easier for you and which color they are. So like this guy's an X, circle, right, square, triangle. Sorry, this black is not showing up on the camera, but that was black, red, purple, blue, purple. And you have your character sheets. You line them up like that, right? Okay, he's number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Then what will happen is you mark off where you guys want to start, right? So in this example, I want my tower to be over here. I want all my 4 characters here. I just drew a line where I want to go later to make the video quicker. And then your enemy does the same thing over there, right? So now what will happen is you roll off to see who goes first, right? And then let's just say the good guys go first. So after all that is done, you start to go into the phases of the game. So you start your guys off the board, and you kind of just draw out where you want to go, right? And every time you start your turn, you gain 5. The enemy gains 5 as well. Then what will happen is you get to win in all sorts of ways. Taking the objective to the tower. So you take more than half of the objectives to your tower. The game automatically ends on the next turn. Kill all enemy models. Killing another model is 6. Each one is 6. Killing leader is 7. Each objective is 5 points. Destroying a tower is 7. Killing a minor monster is 2. Major is 4. And you can repair your tower 3 times. But you have to pay 5 action economy points. So, to end the game quickly, for this mission is when you kill an enemy model, kill all the enemy models, the game ends, right? When you kill the enemy's tower 3 times, it automatically ends, and you go to the scoreboard. So every time the game ends quickly, you go to the scoreboard. So that's the quickest way to explain it. So let's pretend that we're on attack. Let's say that we're attacker. So that means we're priority player. It's our turn. When I say it's our turn, we're attacker priority player. So what will happen is you draw out where you want to go, and you do a move, right? So moving in this game, the first time it's free, and then if you do it again in the turn, it costs you 1. And then if you do it again, it costs you 2, and again it costs you 3, 4, 5. And this is per model. So everyone in this game moves together like an army. So like all you guys move at the same time. So you can move each 4 individual models for free once. And then if you wanted to move him twice this turn, you would pay 1. If you want to move him again, that's 2. You kind of get what I'm saying? Searching, you basically get to search. All of it is green, so that means it's always going to be 1. So anytime you see red, it's a powerful action. It goes up in value. Anytime it's a green normal action, it does not go up in value. It's always going to be 1. And then gray is always free. So let's go over moving real quick and searching, because those can get confusing. So you can move up to your speed, SPD. Okay, so like this guy has a speed of 5. And you can also, you don't have to always go in a straight line. You can go in weird directions. You don't have to always end up at the like tip end of this. You could, for example, like you could pretend that you could move technically too, but you can like bluff up to your speed, SPD. So if you have 5 hits, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that right there would be the end of your movement action for that model. And then you have to pay again to move up there. So the reason why you draw trails is because it affects like searching. So what will happen, like let's say that, now obviously you wouldn't see this on the real board, but let's say Abo here, the assassin, she moves all the way straight down, right? And she needs to make sure she's using the right trail tokens every time when she starts to get revealed, okay? So what will happen is she'll move in a straight line, right? Now let's just say that it's turn 2, right? Let's just say Ben's right there, and he is going to go ahead and use a search action, right? It's his turn. He wants to search this space right here, and he wants to search this space right here, right? It's nice and simple. It's always 1, 3, 6, 9 for the type of spaces you search. So remember, she's right here. So what will happen is, he searched like this, right? So he found out that her trail lies here and here, right? Now this is what he would see, okay? We know she's right there. So because of that, we got to use the eye icon, because that way we know that this is where she is, but obviously it's hidden, right? The other one will always be blank. So that way, so he can go and look at this, right? He's going to go, I wonder where she could be. She could be here, she could not be. I don't know. He might decide to do a further search and search down here and put some more tokens down, right? Because he would find out that she has been over this way, right? He can kind of figure out now, oh, she went this way. And then he could also decide, so what he's doing right now is called blind searching. Now, if he wanted to flip these tokens, he's going to have to declare trail searching. So he uses the same tools, the same sense, right? But this time he's going to place them on the tokens and go, okay, I'm going to flip these tokens and I'm going to try to find you if you're there. And if he does, right, then what he does is pull her into the reality realm. So hence the reason why drawing your trail is very important. You get to erase your trails as well at the start of a new round, just to keep the mystery happening as well. And also, if you have a low weight class, if you're like a lightweight, light armor person, your trail's on the board and they don't find you, you get to remove it at the end of the round. So there's also that little hidden mystery going on. Now, let's say that we're going to cover all the type of movement and searching stuff right now, because that's the most crunchy part for this game. So let's say that he has she is scared of being found, right? Okay, let's just grab our example here, and let's say that, you know, he found 2 tokens. He's really close to finding her. So what she can do is, you know, these phases work together simultaneously. So as a defender, I am in the deception phase while he's in the movement phase. So what will happen is attacker has the priority chip, so he gets to do stuff before me. So he's going to search, right? And after he does something, I as defender can go ahead, all right, I'm going to do an action now. So he paid 1 to search, right? So let's say now I want to pay 1. Okay. And let's say that I want to do a deception move. And I want to, now I'm going to pretend. Now the nice thing about deception is that you can fake them out. It doesn't have to connect to where your model is. So I'm going to use I'm going to do it a little extreme on purpose. So for example, and it's always up to your speed, SPD. So her speed and her is a 8. So I get to grab 8 tokens. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I'm doing this as extreme. This is not the most tactical, but you get to place down 8 more tokens to throw off your opponent. Okay, so the best thing to do would be something like this. Right, you would want to pretend that maybe you went this way or something, or maybe you started over here, whatever you want to do to bluff them out, that maybe your tower's over here, but you're bluffing that it's over here now, right? So maybe you throw it in a circle, so he really gets confused, like, why is he running around in circles? But a nice thing about that is it's a good way to kind of throw off your opponent. So now the attacker, now you're still in the movement phase, right? So we're going to hang out and still be in this this area. So right now we're in the movement phase, and so the attacker, you know, he can go ahead and make a choice. He could, like, okay, well, I'm going to pay 1 and do sense of direction, right? So now he's going to remove X amount of tokens based on if he beats this roll. So everything in the skill check relies on you must beat, not meet the score. So for example, if you needed a 20, you know, you always got to beat that. So you always want to beat, not meet, even on defense rolls and stuff. So, you know, he's going to go ahead and roll this dice. He's looking for a 20. That's his goal. So he's trying to beat a 19. And in this case, he would fail because he got a 2, right? Now, there are certain modifiers that you have on characters that increase this roll. You can always go ahead and pay another action point. You can go ahead and do sense of direction again to try to remove any fake trails. It's pretty obvious that it was a fake trail because hold on a second, because the player put that down. But for example, the player also could do deception movement not only on the board, but they could also draw a fake trail here too. So you get the option of choosing what board you always mess with in this game, by the way. You can attack into this board, but we're talking about movement right now. We're talking about movement. So let's say that he passes, right? And let's say he's got the best sense of direction in the game. So he's going to remove all these fake tokens, right? So that's kind of how sense of direction works. So basically, he can also declare to, you know, say he's moving again, right? So he's going to pay 1, and now he's going to take the objective. He's going to pay 1 now. So now you can kind of see that, okay, well, now he's got the objective. And how do you interact with objectives, right? This is still in the movement phase. So let's say that he basically decides he wants to move and score the objective, right? He's going to move back to his base. The best tactical decision would be to hide yourself as well. And I'm going to show you that right now. So basically, this is enter the Shadow Realm. So basically, you're going to roll a d20 and add your STL to it. And you got to get a 20 to pass. So he has on his character sheet, right? Everyone has different modifiers and stuff. So his STL is 3, right? So he needs an 18 to pass, which he fails, right? So let's just say that he passes or whatever. He can hide himself. Now, because he hit himself, now so when you moved from here to here, you're not drawing this on the board, okay? You only draw this when you're moving in the Shadow Realm. You don't draw extra trails when you're here in the reality board. So now that he's finally gone, right? Let's say he drops it off at the tower, right? Let's say he moves from here to here, right? And, you know, you draw it out here on this little map or whatever, you know, oh, cool, I went from here to here. And basically, when you do that, now you draw the path. Now you basically put the objective in there, right? That costs you an action economy point. And now let's say that you want to do, so you would score 5 points from the objective, right? So the only way you're going to show yourself again on this reality board is if you're dealing damage to anything. So because he's dropping off an objective, he's not dealing damage, so he's not showing his location. So let's say that now he wants to use what the objective does. That's called leveling up. So leveling up, basically what happens is, now we're going to go into more of like how point scoring work and stuff like that. So leveling up, so what will happen is he gains 5 points for his team for the objective. Then he's going to roll a dice, okay? So he's going to roll a dice, and whatever the dice roll is tells him which stat he's going to increase. And then he rolls again to see which stat is going to be increased by how much. It's all broken up in the rule book. I'm not going to bore you with that, but it's not that heavy. Like you increase like 2 speed or 5 health. It's not like that powerful, but it is random. So now let's say that this guy now decides to he's feeling like he's ready to do some combat. So now let's talk a little bit. Oh, sorry, scoring. We're talking about scoring. So let's say that he's feeling a little aggressive, right? He's got range to hit this guy. Okay, he's got a big axe. He's got the range. Let's say that he wants to attack. Now, what will happen is you will always go into the attack phase. Okay, you're in the attack phase now as an attacker. Okay, so in the attack phase, you look at the number of attacks that you have, and you're going to deal that much dice. Now, number of attacks correlates to shooting and close combat. That does not relate to spells, by the way. Spells are something different. We'll talk about those in a second. So, to attack, you roll X amount of d20s plus your CC or aim, right? CC is close combat. Aim is for shooting. And you always got to beat the AC, okay? Then when you deal damage, every d20 converts to a d6, and you add your damage modifier, and strength is for CC, fire is for shooting. And then finally, you apply damage. Okay, so there is a simple way to do this. There's always a simple way. So let's say that, so this monster here has an armor of 10, okay? So he's gonna roll 6d6s here to deal damage. And what will happen is we're going to see what he got. So he has a CC of 7. The easiest way to do this is you take 7 minus 10 and up it by 1, because you always got to beat. So you need 4s or better to beat. So this would fail. Okay. He's got a critical as well, so that turns into an additional d6. Okay. So do, and do. Okay. Now what will happen is you're going to roll your damage. Monsters, by the way, never defend. They just take damage. And this is how much damage he's done. And then you multiply it by... So the easiest way to do this, right, is 6 of these times 5, right, because that's his strength. 30. And then you're going to take all these and add them together. And then you're going to total the total. So, right, so this is 10. So we got 30, 40, 45, 49. It'll be 56 damage to that monster, okay? So now the monster is aced, okay? And he dies. Now, when this happens, Benedict Gorgon here earns his team 2 points. So now we're at 5, 6, 7 points here, okay? 7 points for the team. Now, when this happens, there are decks of cards for this game. And what will happen is you kill the support monster, so you gain a support card. So that means that now you get this in your roster. Okay? So every time you kill monsters, you get these once per game cards. And you can use them only once per game. And you can only use one at a time, taking your time. Okay? You can do multiple in a turn. But, sorry, you can only do one in a turn, but you can go ahead and play it at any time. So only one a turn, and then you can do it as many, you can just do it at any time you want. So you can't stack multiple of them together to do a big infinite combo, because a lot of these are really powerful. So let's say that now, let's say it's our turn now. Let's say that Abo decides now that she wants to attack, okay? Let's say that she is in stealth. Okay, so she's going to stealth attack him, and let's say that she doesn't want to reveal her position. Okay, so remember, in anything that deals damage reveals your position. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a deception attack. Okay, so a deception attack is you roll a d20, and you need to add your STL to this. You need to get a 20, right? You need to beat a 19. So her STL is a 7, so she would fail. Remember, it's a green action, so you can do this as many times as you want. It's always going to cost 1, okay? Now, let's say she does it again. Let's say that she passes, okay? Now, let's say that she decides to do surprise, okay? She wants to now go ahead and start stacking up some things. She's going to add surprise, and she's going to add her ability, okay? So when you do your ability, it lasts until the end of the turn, and you would grab one of these little statuses, hexes. This was created by a 3D printer in Minnesota, a fellow Minnesotan. I'll link the name of the company below. It's like 4 hearts. And so what will happen is you get the status on her, you got the ability, right? Now you want to do surprise. Now let's say that you're stacking up all these things, okay? So you're a priority player. You get to do all these. You get to set this all up, and now you're gonna declare that you're gonna attack, right? So what happens as defender, you get one interrupt, okay, per turn. And you can basically jump ahead of them and say, okay, well, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put on myself things to cancel you out, okay? Kind of making sense here, what's going on? So what he's going to do, he's going to do keen senses, right? And it's a green action. He's going to pay 1, and now he can't be surprised. So now she's going to lose surprised, okay? She still's got her ability on him. And let's say that he wants to now pay another 1. Let's say he wants to go debilitate them, okay? So now you're going to put another little guy on, and these things stack really nicely. Thank you guys very much for doing this. And now he's got 2 statuses on him. Now he's got, what debilitate means is that every time you interact with him, you have to pay 1 for every action that you're doing towards him, okay? So now instead of paying 1 to attack and 1 to do her surprise, she's gonna have to pay 4. Okay, so he really kind of cancels her out. But I just wanted to show you some interactions. So let's say that this is the attacker. Okay, she's rolling. I should make it easier and just roll it as black so you guys don't get confused. So number of attacks, she gets 6. Okay, and now what you do is you need to compare and contrast abilities. Okay. So what will happen is she has a +4. He's got armor 15. She's looking for 12s or better right now. So she rolled like crap. Oh god. But let's say that she got at least 2 hits in. Okay. Now him as defender, he rolls X amount of dice equal to how many successes she has. So he's not going to roll all 5. So if she only got 2, he only rolls 2. Okay. And you would compare, you put high dice to high dice, low dice to low dice, okay? So let's say that, this is the roll. That means that she beat him on each one. But for example, if he got a critical defense blocks 2 dice of your choice. You're always going to pick the 2 highest, right? 1s don't really hurt you or anything like that. So you don't have to worry about that. And then you get to roll damage, okay? So when her ability pops off, you would read it, get the reroll 1s and 2s on damage, right? So there's things that can affect. Now, because the roll of the damages are coming through now, he can't go back now because he's not a priority player. She is. He cannot go back in now and say, I'm going to pay another action economy point and I'm going to force you to reroll your dice. That's his ability, right? He can't stick his ability in now because she's already rolling and he only gets 1 interrupt on his side. So next time if she declares an attack again, so after all this, he could go ahead and pop his ability and say, okay, any successes, you got to re-roll now. So kind of understand how interrupt works as defender. You can't just constantly interrupt them. You get 1 interrupt and then the attacker just keeps going, okay? Once they're doing an action, they get priority. So let's say that the nice thing about this game is that there's some mystery to it, okay? So you don't know how much damage you did because this information would be hidden. But let's say that you deal some damage, right? And the opponent's not going to tell you if the guy is super injured or he's going to die. No, he's going to keep you in a little bit of confusion, okay? So let me talk about real quick spells, and then I'm going to talk about senses. So the way that spells work they're a little bit different, okay? So in this example, let's say that now it is the bad guy's turns, okay? The bad guys are going to go now. Now remember he attacked last turn. So now again, if he's going to attack again, he's not penalized to have this go up. It's still at 1 now, but if he attacks twice this turn, then it's going to go up to 2 for the second attack. So let's say that, you know, the bad guys are going to pop this card and teleport in, okay? Now let's say that they're going to go ahead and start doing some things. He wants to cast a spell, okay? So let's say that he is going to cast a spell called Contour of Death. Okay, everyone that's a spellcaster knows this. So the way that spells work, they're really, really simple. Okay, you roll 2 d20s, add your spell modifier, you must beat the cast value. Okay, so you roll these 2 dice, add them together, and you add the spell modifier, so SPELL, and then you try to beat this score. Okay, if you roll any 20s, that's a crit, right? So you still get an additional d6. So, and if the big thing about spells are anytime you roll the same digit twice, you automatically fail and deal the damage to you and to yourself instead. So let's say that Typhus, the good guy, is nearby, okay? And he wants to defend the spell, okay? He doesn't have to show his position, by the way, to deflect the spell. I'm just doing this to show you. And he's going to roll 2 d20s. So he's going to pay a point to deny the spell. And he's going to see if he can beat the roll, okay? Now he fails. Now you got to keep track of how many times you're denying, okay, a turn, because you only can deny so many times. This guy can only deny once, okay? Once a turn. So what will happen is, let's say, so he goes off, right? His spell goes through. And let's say that now he wants to go ahead and roll the dice, right? So Contour of Death, there's 2d6 damage. He got a crit, so he gets an additional 1, okay? Now you add all these dice together, and you're going to add your Arcane modifier to the whole thing, okay? To the whole thing. So that's the only difference. So his Arcane is 16. So 16 plus this number right here is your total damage. So that will be 24, 26, 32. So he did 32 damage to Abo, okay? Now, the nice thing about this spell is that spells ignore armor, okay? That's the nice thing about them. Now, let's say that, let's move now more into more of the different types of senses, okay? So there's all these different types of senses, right? So these are the core of the game. So what will happen is, let's say that Abo here is going to try to find the next person before she gets hit. Okay, so what she's going to do is she's going to decide, okay, well, I'm going to use my sight. Okay, I'm going to use my sight, and I'm going to go ahead and decide to search down here. So she has a level 2 sight. So that means that the way this breaks down is really simple, okay? So if you're a level 1, you know, you search 3, level 2 you search 6, level 3 you search 9. The range for each one of these are 5, 10, 15. You can always add 2 of them together to do a little combo, but we'll get that later. So she's going to search at level 2 down this way, okay? And she sees that there is a trail down here, okay? Let's say that she finds a little trail right there, okay? Now, let's say that she wants to use... Let's say that she wants to use... So real quickly. So sight always has to connect to your model, like so. So it had to be like over her base, I guess is the best way to explain it. Like this, okay? And you can do it like, you can look ahead of you and behind you, but it has to connect to you, okay? So hearing, you know, let's say that she's got hearing level 3. So hearing is using these tools. These are the most common used. You can basically shape this into whatever you want. It's just gotta connect. Okay, so she could search like this. Okay, she could search like a little weird shape. The biggest thing with this is that hearing, you know, it needs to connect, and also, God, there's something else. Hold on a second. She's got to be she has to be within range, and also hearing is a defensive trait, so you can do it on their turn. It can only go so far between so many rooms, though, by the way, so it's not as powerful, but and it's just the same. It's 3, 6, 9 rooms, right? You can go 3 rooms away, 6 rooms away, 9 rooms away. But basically, that kind of helps out as well. There is also, what's the other one? Hold on a second. There's a little breakdown of the table, but basically, like, sight is a line, right? It's going to be always in a line shape. It's offensive only when you're attacking player, right? It can show more than one trail. Like, these are the breakdowns of it, right? Hearing's kind of like an onion shape, like you can manipulate it. Offensive and defensive can show more than one trail. Touch, right? So you're touching the room, and you're stuck into whatever room you're in. So, for example, this room right here, she could only touch this room, this image right here. She could only search this room for guys. Smell. So basically, there's like a little breakdown. So smell and taste are, think of them as like support. So they don't do anything unless you find some information like a trail. So smell, it basically it's smelling to see if this trail is real or not, right? It can help you find fake things. It can tell you when they're wounded, and it can't you can't re-hide from them if you have a level 2 smell. And then smell level 3 is, you're starting to connect the trails to where it starts and ended. The max would be 9 spaces because it's a level 3. Taste, what size they are, what class they are, exactly who are they, things like that. And intuition is more of like a bonus. So intuition it's like a gamble, okay? So you're gonna go look at this whole map. Let's say that Abo goes, okay, well, I think that your partner's right there, okay? If she's incorrect, she doesn't get anything. But if she is correct, she pulls them into the reality realm, right? So you're skipping, you're paying 1 action to do 2 actions, basically, because you're skipping the flipping the tokens, and you get bonuses, right? So you get like deal 5 damage at level 1. You can't move until the next turn. Gain 15 health. Things like that, right? So those are the senses, and that's what covers those. So let's say that she gets lucky and finds the tower, and the tower is right here in the back, right? You're going to search for it just like you would. You're going to search for X amount of spaces trying to find it. And when you do, you can attack it as much as you would like. The tower has got 50 health and 13 armor, and you attack it as normal. The tower in this time actually can defend, but it gets no bonuses to this defense roll. As well, the tower can be rebuilt, and you can pay 5 action economy points to rebuild it. You only do that when you're in when you have the priority token, when you're an attacker. You can do that twice, but after that point, you literally gotta wait. You can do it twice. Sorry, you can do it twice, and after your tower has died twice, you're done. The tower can't be rebuilt. Let's see here. What else? All right, so actions. So I'm gonna go over the actions now. So basically, search we did, interact with an object we did, enter Shadow Realm we did. Sense of direction is to like stop bluffs and fake trails and sensing correct things. Sense of the environment, that one, sense of the environment allows you to gain a bonus from the environment. And it's just another, you roll a d20 and you need to score a 20. You got to beat a 19, and you get to get a little bonus from the environment. Bluff, we talked about that. Faking out people with your movement speed on your turn only when it's the bluff one. Shove, you get to shove someone, you roll a d20, add your strength, and then if you beat them, you get to shove them one space and deal some damage. Fall, you can fall off buildings and deal damage. Abilities depend on each character. Abilities last till the end of the turn. Retreat, when you retreat, that means that you don't get to get backstab. Best way to explain this is backstab is just like attack of opportunity. So when like Abo here leaves the engagement, you know, Gorgon here gets to swing in on her. Backstab is roll 3d20s, and then you add your modifiers, and defender doesn't roll defense dice, and then you just deal damage as normal. Deploy traps, so you get to go in here and the trap deck, randomly draw something, and you're going to choose where you want to place it in the reality board or shadow board. Shadow board, it will only affect the shadow realm, so you want to do that for dealing damage and stuff, and you would use them right away. You would just like throw down a fireball or something, area of effect damage. But if you did it on the reality board, you pick a point and then you write it down in secret. You know, hey, I'm placing a trap right here. Let's say that's A1, and then when they step on A1, then you get to show your trap. Precipitation. That one is the best way to explain it is like D&D perception check. Basically, you roll a d20. You want to score 20 on this roll. Remember, anything with a skill check, you're going to add a modifier to it, and you would look at your card. And then if you do, you get to find a trap, and you get to turn it off. Leveling up, we talked about that. Sense of healing, that one is pretty straightforward. You roll a d20, looking for a 20. You need to beat a 19. And basically what happens is that if it does succeed, you get to heal yourself up. You would just roll randomly. It's 2d6 for the random heal. And then you add that onto your character. You have attack, cast spells. We talked about that. Surprise attack. That's where when you attack from shadows, even if you become revealed afterwards, as long as you're attacking from shadows, that first interaction, you get a bonus to your attack. You get a plus d20. And you get an additional d6 for damage. Deception attack. We talked about that. Grapple, you roll off on strength. You roll off against your opponent. Whoever has the highest roll wins. If attacker wins, you hold them in place. Defender wins, you break free. You can also be ungrappled as well. You would just basically grab one of these status little things and showcase that you're grappled. If you are grappled by the enemy, they can drag you around with them. Their speed is just halved as well, which is kind of important. Support is really nice. Support would be you have X amount of allies nearby. Let's just say in this case that we have 2 allies and we're going to attack Benedict Gorgon here. And for support, it's really straightforward. You roll. Oh, sorry. Every time you gain support, you get it goes up by 369. So for one person, you're gonna get an extra +3 to hit. Hold on a second. Okay, so you're gonna add a +3 to hit, and then you're going to get an additional D6 damage as well. It goes vice versa too, and it only applies if you're in engagement range, by the way. So engagement range just means that you're within 1 space of the enemy model. So if we had another guy right here, he would cancel it out for Benedict Gorgon. But let's say we're like this. Like this. And this guy is over here. So you can see that, Benedict Gorgon is going to get 1 support here. And Typhus is not going to be able to. Typhus is going to help her, but it goes into, and then it goes as defender into. So defender into, attackers into, whatever the target is. So he's not helping out with the support. He would have to be over here to support. Let's see here. What else do we have? Instill fear. So fear is pretty straightforward. You roll a d20 and high roll wins. You add your fear modifier to this. That's on your card as well. And so what will happen, let's say the bad guys win this roll and Benedict's carrying Abo. She immediately moves 2 spaces away and she gets hit by all these guys, and these guys always get half the amount of attacks, so the max they could have is 3. And then as a defender, you can do a nerve check and get yourself back in the fight. You have to roll a d20, score 20 to get back in the fight. Otherwise, at the end of each turn, she runs away again 2 spaces. So it's pretty punishing. Let's see what else. So if you are on the same space as... Okay, so if you're on the same spot as somebody, you basically, in the Shadow Realm, let's say that we're both on A7, and whoever reveals themselves first by whatever circumstance is the one that's going to be affected. So let's say Abo and him are in the same spot in the Shadow Realm, but she shows herself first. So he as defender shouts out, or attacker, doesn't matter, trapping, and he's basically gonna be, he gets to throw 3 attacks on her, and he gets to push her 1 space over, and then he gets to basically grapple her for free. So he's gonna hold her in place. So trapping is really nice when it goes off. If towers are on the same spaces as each other, they blow up and deal hold on a second. You deal 15 damage to everyone within engagement range. So if this tower is in the same space as the enemy tower, they would blow up together and they would deal 15 damage to everybody. That usually only happens it's pretty rare. Usually happens in like quick games, by the way. Defensive searching is pretty straightforward. It's only defensive searching types like hearing can be used. Defensive abilities, you pay a point, you can do it on their turn. Overwatch. So Overwatch is basically you nominate, let's say that he's doing Overwatch and he's a close combat guy. So he's going to declare this space for Overwatch. Okay. So anytime an enemy model enters into that space, then he's going to hit her. Okay, if he was a guy that shoots, you label off the name of the spaces that you're going to be watching over. Okay, like if he had a range of 10, let's say he wants to watch this lane right here. Then when they step by that lane, then they get shot. Okay, the nice thing about Overwatch is that when they move into this, let's say that she paid to move. Okay, so she goes 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, he hits her immediately. So he stops what she's doing. He swings in on her. He deals 3 attacks always. It's always 3 attacks for Overwatch. And if you have less than 3 attacks, then you do less. And after that point, she now has to pay another action economy point to move again or disengage. So Overwatch is pretty powerful where you can hold them in place and stuff. It's kind of nice. It's kind of a nice way to hold them in place too from a distance as well. Let's see here. Keen Senses, again, that is a status. Basically, you put it on yourself. You can't be surprised from the shadows or attacked from the shadows. So that one is pretty powerful, and that one is a little more expensive. Let's see here. And you remember, you got to roll a d20, and you need to score 20 for it to go off. Let's see, what else do we have here? We have... So, Debilitate. A reminder, anytime this guy declares an attack, let's say he attacks, he wants to pop his ability on him, and he wants to surprise or whatever. If you have Debilitate on him, then Raphael here, this model, has to pay 6 points now because each one of those actions interact, so it's increasing it by 1. So it can get really powerful real quick. Let's see here. What else? Deploy traps. We know that one. We know that one. We know that one. Yeah, that covers them all. And there is always golden rules for this game and acronyms for everything, by the way. And there's rules on DM screens. And golden rules. So golden rules are, whoever goes first in first round, nope. Hold on a second. You can attack when it's your first turn because that got fixed. So golden rules. So you can always attack blindly and attack in the Shadow Realm at any point. Attackers always resolve first. Attackers always declare what they're doing. Then defender can do something. Ties always go to defenders. There's no ties in this game, period. Powerful actions always cost more. Most actions are, once you use it, it's one and done. So unless it's like an ability, but most of the things, like if you're, for example, like using a trap or whatever, you use it and it's gone. It's like it's not going to stay there forever. Most things are, if it's not stated, but like see, use right away. Some things will last longer. It'll tell you if it lasts longer. So everything you do in this game reveals your location. Anytime you deal damage, it reveals your location. So keep that in mind. Always declare your intent before doing anything. If you're out of action economy points, you're done. You can never go negative. You can never have more than 10 action economy points. So it does spill over to the next turn. So for example, let's say you start with 5 and then you don't pay anything. You can go up to 10. But if you don't do anything again, you're not going to get 15. And when it's a brand new round, you reset back to 5 for both players. So it goes my turn, your turn, my turn. Your turn. Then it's a new round. Let's see here. Round down for damage. Damage can never be lower than 1. If damage is not applied as a normal attack, never add your modifier unless it says so. The attacker goes first in the chain of events. Some terrain and some traps affect the Shadow Realm and the Reality Realm, but for the majority of time, most terrain affects only the Reality board. Or the Shadow board. It's one or the other. Most of the time, it's not both. It's like one or the other. It's really rare that it'll affect both the Reality and Shadow board at the same time. If you're in close combat, you have to do close combat. You can't shoot and you can't cast spells in close combat. Well, if you're in engagement range, which is like this, you can shoot. You can shoot into combat and help your friend, but any 1 or 5 natural 1s or 5s, you hit your ally and deal damage as normal. Let's see here. Friendly fire. So support does affect friendly fire. When defending, you always use the same modifier. So if you're in a close combat engagement, you add your CC to the defense roll. Everything's wholly within in this game. So like if let's say the range of your aura is like 5, you're gonna count your space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Everything's wholly within. For range of your weapons and stuff, you're gonna see if you can wholly see without outside this terrain piece, right? So if there's a terrain piece right here, it's wholly blocking your line of sight this way down this lane. Okay, if you decide to move down this way, now you can see, but this blocks the whole lane. So if anyone's on this lane, it blocks it. They're wholly blocked from this shot this way. So just imagine like there's like a wall and it blocks the rest of the lane. Now it applied down this way too. So like this monster is behind this terrain piece. He can't shoot. Same thing applies for friendly models. You know, this friendly model is blocking Benedict Gorgon, so Raphael here cannot shoot him. He's wholly blocking everything. And then if he goes around, then he can attack. The realms also do affect your range. So the realms do affect your shooting. So realms will tell you how much to subtract from your shooting. So for example, let's say that Ben here is in this nice, normal, earthly realm. This one doesn't affect his shooting. But the ocean one tells you to subtract 5 from your range, okay? Then at that point, he's going to go 1, 2, 3, and now he's going to add 5. So that's 8. And then he would have to add another 5 onto that. So that's how the realms kind of affect your range. They 90% of the time they're going to affect you negatively from your range. Let's see here. ShadowWar.online is the website. You can donate, you can pre-order, you can support me in any way. Have any questions, please let me know. And yeah, thank you for watching, and that is all the rules that will cover you for the whole game.